Hello and good morning, folks. It is, we are starting 3 minutes late. My name is Waylon Lewis. No writer, the first lesson of today is no writer is ever or should ever be completely on time. That's a bad lesson that your generation can change. So welcome everybody. If you're in the sidebar, as Amy is doing, Cheryl is doing, San Francisco, Minnesota, South Africa, say where you're from and feel free to speak up. This is, I know writers can be wallflowers or introverted sometimes. Consider this your private little writing desk or couch or a comfortable little community. So you're all welcome here. We started 3 minutes late, G, because we're working on my bad hair day, but you know, it's just unfixable, so we put a hat over it. All right, folks, Highland Park, London, North Dakota. I think we have 500 or 600 people here today. Super fun. And one thing that Elephant is good on, which I was just doing, is close every application that you're not using. Put your phone upside down. Make sure you have some water or coffee or tea. Let's focus in a relaxed way and have a good time. All right, so let's take a good posture and we'll begin. We'll begin with a bow. Yeah, you can say what you're drinking, if anything. And if you're overseas, you could be drinking something other than tea or coffee, depending on the time zone. Kazakhstan, look at that. Aya. Raleigh, North Carolina. Calgary, India. All right, take a good posture, the best posture you've had all day, and relax. And then with respect and friendliness and a reminder of your mission in your life, why you're here, give it away. So join in that bow. Take a good posture, relax, close everything you don't need, put your phone upside down, and with respect and friendliness, bow. So you're bowing to, it looks like about 600 people around the world, which is pretty fun. Get a little more natural light in here. Okay, so I'm going to begin Zen style. I'm going to begin with you. I'm going to begin not with some monologue. Who cares about me? Who cares about my random opinions on things? We're going to start with your question. So if you have a question, you can go to Ask a Question. It's below the video. And you can also upvote the questions you want. So I'm going to begin by saying we do offer a 3-month course 3 times a year. It's called Elephant Academy. We're super proud of it in a kind of humble, joyful way because it's super fun. We have hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds and thousands of people do this academy. We do try to keep it relatively small, usually about 100 a session. And you can learn how to do what you love and make a living doing so. Empower yourself, invest in yourself by gaining tools to empower whatever your career is now or whatever your career you would like to move into. And we go over writing skills, we go over ethics, we go over how to gain a social media following in a meaningful, mindful, not narcissistic, obnoxious way. Okay, so let's see if I have any agenda. So first of all, I think we're going to cover sort of the fear of writing or obstacles around writing, obstacles around sharing your words, feeling like you're not good enough, writer's block, anything that's kind of in your way, right? Let's begin with what's stopping you. And if nothing is stopping you, fantastic. We're also going to get into how to get it out there and how to do it in a genuine, meaningful way. And Sarah, if you're not sure if your topic would be of interest, it's probably of interest. We don't want generic topics. We want specific, personal topics to go over. Okay, I'm going to jump into Ask a Question. The top one appears to be Farah Haney or Haney. Since I was I'm going in blind, so this could say anything. This could say, Waylon, you're a big jerk. Since I was probably 17, I got the urge to write while I was going through some personal issues and have never experienced something that clears the head more. It's hard to put what I like about writing into a specific category, and even harder to imagine it coming to fruition, having no formal education in writing. I feel like I need that guidance to know where to start and how to establish that discipline that gets you there. Thank you so much for hosting this. So Farah, great topic or great question. I would say, number one, you're kind of right. You do need to, you know, it's sort of, my parents' Buddhist teacher said, you know, study all the masters, all the folks who are amazing at their craft, and then you can do your own thing. Then you can kind of forget them. So it is good. Like one of the cliche examples is Picasso was a master painter, and then he was able to move on and kind of dump it and do his own thing. Oh, well, Sarah, I'm sorry. Gail, thanks for helping out. I have a lot of screens here. So Sarah, just put your topic or your question in Ask a Question, and I'll get to it. So it is good. I think, you know, a tendency nowadays would be to say, forget all the masters, just do your thing. Your heart is beautiful. Your heart is beautiful. Your story is beautiful, but it's wonderful to look at how people have approached that. Emily Dickinson said, approach the truth, but approach it slantwise. You know, Maya Angelou had profound teachings on how to communicate, talking about the importance of getting your story, your heart story out there. And you're completely right. Writing is one of the most cathartic crafts possible. Any genuine art is going to be cathartic, right? So maybe say something about cathartic, folks, if you have a relationship to that genuine practice. So basically, if you're writing and it's not genuine, you're going to run into writer's block. A lot of us regard writer's block as a problem, but writer's block is often just saying, no. It's saying, this isn't right. This isn't genuine. This doesn't feel, it's not flowing. And you hear the opposite from people who have found their voice, which is what we cover in Academy. Find your voice, find your community, find your path. So finding your voice means a lot of people will say, it feels like it just happened, like the writing just happened. And you could say that's God, you could say that's something profound, but it's also just, things flow when they're natural, just like a musician or a runner, you know, or Joe DiMaggio was supposedly so graceful, but it's because he practiced and practiced and practiced. And he loved it, right? Baseball. So I don't know if that's at all helpful, but yes, it is good to study the masters. You can do that by reading, and don't read them from an analytical point of view merely. Read it from a reader's point of view. And the best writers are often, you know, keep readers in mind. So there's a profound thing that happens when we read, when we're unself-conscious, when we're just present with a story. And we'll get to, you know, practical things like writing a book and all that. Hopefully we'll have time. All right. I'm going to get in rhythm. I feel a little bit speedy because there's so many questions, but hopefully I can slow down and this can actually be helpful for folks. So if you have any questions, just jump in to ask a question. Okay, is journaling a good way to compile a book? Is this recommended specifically for sharing my work with a ghostwriter? Or how do I compile what I already have? Clover. That feels like 3 big questions. So journaling. It depends what you mean by journaling. In my mind, journaling for me is a private practice. When I journal, a wonderful, unique voice comes out that never comes out when I'm writing a book or an essay or an article. It's just me writing to me. So I like to actually kind of respect or protect that. Other people here will have very different approaches. But for me, when I'm journaling, I like it to just be for me. I like to not try to use that voice or use the writing that comes out of that, no matter how good it may feel, to publish anything. I just use it for me. It's a cathartic practice, like I think Haney Farah said. It's really a practice for me, and whatever I'm going through, it can be cathartic, right? In terms of using that to compile a book, so I wouldn't, but you know, your approach to journaling could be totally different. That's kind of the cool thing about writing, and also the frustrating thing is there's not particularly rules, right? There's a lot of masters, there's a lot of people you can learn from. And when I say master, please don't think of a, you know, old white man. A master can be anyone from any tradition, right? Which can include old white men. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't want us to get into just picturing a he here. Okay. Is this recommended specifically for sharing? So I don't know about this ghostwriter question. I think you would have to ask more. If you're writing for a ghostwriter, meaning you're compiling a bunch of information and stories so that ghostwriter can put it together in a book, an autobiography, is that what you mean? Yeah, sure, that could be a fantastic way to package stuff up for your ghostwriter, for sure. I would think the best way to work with a ghostwriter personally would be just to sit down with the writer. People understand what a ghostwriter is. It's like a professional writer. Ada Calhoun, who teaches in the academy, has done a bunch of ghostwriting. She's also a famous author in her own right. And more importantly than famous, author has found her voice. And it's just simple and it's genuine. It's wonderful. Michael Pollan has that for me. Malcolm Gladwell has that for me. Elizabeth Gilbert has that for me. Brene Brown, Pema Chodron. There's so many people who have found their voice. And whatever their voice is, it feels 100% like it hits home when you read it. Okay. So many comments and questions. How do I handle this? So I would say just talking with the writer and recording that. The spoken word is a great way to get a lot of information out to a writer who can then compile it. Okay, so from Lunia. Hi everyone, the idea of writing a book about my life is in my head for years. My question for this class is, how do I make the jump and finally do it? I feel like maybe I'm afraid people might not like what I write. That is definitely true, so you can relax about that. No matter what you write, some people won't like it, right? So, like I was just meeting with my accountant and she's always nervous about getting audited or getting an awful thing in the mail. And we dot our I's and cross our T's. We're doing everything. She's a pro. And I just say, well, we will get audited. All businesses get audited at some point. It's fine. Just relax into the certainty that whatever you fear will happen. So people will, it's kind of like Zen dark humor. It's like people will dislike your writing, and that is okay. People will dislike you, Polly. People will dislike you, Kevin. People will dislike you, Waylon. Not everyone can like us, right? And that's okay. And we can learn from that. It's more than okay. So let's get rid of that top question. Wonderful question from Clover. Yeah, so being afraid that people might not like what you write holds you back. So in terms of writing a book, there's no rush. A lot of us feel like we have a book inside of us and we put a lot of pressure on us and we think about the title, right? Anyone here? Maybe comment if you're hearing this. Do you think about the title? Do you think about the cover? Do you think about going on a book tour? Do you think about people loving your book? Do you think about the money coming from that? Do you think about the whole sort of great American novel or wherever you live kind of fantasy? I spent like 20 years thinking about that. Probably every day. I probably thought about it more than I thought about any broken heart or lover. All of that is fun, but it's in your way. So don't invest energy into it. Instead, invest energy into your life. Invest energy into your broken heart. Invest energy into, growing up. Invest energy into your work. Invest energy into your relationships, into your life. The best stories are going to come out of a life fully lived, right? Not from fantasizing about being a famous writer in an attic somewhere. Nothing's wrong with that. Again, we don't need to be super judgmental, but we don't need to invest in that fantasy because the fantasy will actually get in the way of the reality. There's a beautiful quote. I used to think it was by Dr. Seuss, but it's by this guy who wrote some kindergarten book. And it says, when you fall in love, you'll know it because it's better than any fantasy, because it's weirder, because it's real. This is like what it is like to be an actual writer. So at some point, I wrote a book. It's right behind me. I wrote a book and I couldn't stop it. It just happened, right? And it was still hard and all that. But at some point, you will have a story. And many of you already do. Most of you already do. Yeah, I mean, sharing stories in retirement homes, almost nothing could be more valuable. Taking the time to sit down with a grandfather, grandmother, these stories are amazingly valuable, or your mom or your dad, your aunt or your uncle, anyone, or someone you don't know. Going to volunteer in retirement homes are incredibly fulfilling. There's a real disconnect Buddhism regards our tendency, I'm responding to Dartinia and Terry. Buddhism regards our tendency to push away old people or push away sick people or push away homeless people as kind of a sickness, neurosis endemic of our own relationship to the parts of ourselves we don't like. That's called Maitri. We can put that link in the comment. Maitri is how to make friends with the part of yourself that you don't like. And that is fundamental to becoming a writer. So if you want to be a writer, first make friends with yourself. And you can do that through writing, ironically. So number one, I was talking with a friend who I think is here from Brooklyn about emotionalism this morning. Our tendencies with our stories is to stray into emotionalism, taking our emotions or our trauma or our experiences super seriously and thinking they make us important. Like, I'm more effed up than you are. Listen to this story, be impressed. That's not a genuine approach to our very real trauma and emotions and stories. And then the other approach is suppressing all that stuff. We want to suppress our emotions. So some people say, don't share your dirty laundry, like my grandma used to say that to me. So the other day I shared my dirty laundry, which was about my kind of just honest confusion about commitment and relationship and marriage, and how on earth do we commit to getting married if even most of our good friendships fall apart, where there's less pressure. And anyway, so I wrote about that in a pretty raw way. If you're writing in a raw way, that can be powerful. Terry, there's no need to sign up because we have 600 people here. So let's keep the comments pretty focused. Ellie, you can write for Elephant Journal, elephantjournal.com/submit. Oh, there you go, share now. So try to have the middle path. The Buddha called it the middle way between suppressing your experiences or your emotions and thinking they're bad or embarrassing. As Jack Kerouac said, it's what we least want to share that the world is most dying or bleeding to hear. Does that make sense? That quote really affected me when I was younger. And then what we see on Instagram a lot, which is people kind of getting off on their own stuff and kind of almost narcissistically bragging about their experiences, good and bad. So try to go for the middle, which is just sharing them simply as they are. All right? Any other questions? I'll go back to ask a question. Yeah, this is all recorded, so no problem. So you signed up because you want to know how this works. What works? How writing works? So there's a lot to writing. It can be good to find a place to do it, like a clear, simple place with a view is what I like at home. Just a little window, something. Don't face a wall generally. But again, there don't need to be rules. If you have a wall, you can put up a lot of inspiring stuff. But don't have it be too busy. Have it be simple. Have it be something that takes you outside of your fixed mind, right? And then it's also helpful to go to cafes and to write, go to a park. So maybe a good way to kind of ground ourselves, since there's so many comments and so many questions, and I'm really just talking to myself in a room, is let's do a little writing exercise. Are people up for that? If so, say HAI, H-A-I, exclamation mark in the comments. So we'll do a brief writing exercise. We'll all kind of connect with what we're trying to do here. So this is going to be 3 sentences, short, no longer than 3 sentences, promise. This isn't a haiku, 3 sentences. So 3 sentences, and I'll join you. We're going to write about the most present moment you've had today. So if you saw a bush or a bunny or a dog or a friend or a coffee, or you enjoyed waking up and looking out the window, whatever the moment is that you've been most present, describe that moment without anything extra. So be very specific. So everyone listen, be specific. The more detail, the better. And don't add anything extra. Don't romanticize it. Don't make it spiritual. Just describe it. 3 sentences. You got 1 minute. I have 10:53 a.m. MST. Go. Specific. 3 sentences. Whatever moment you were most present for. More details, the better. Don't worry about it being good. All right, I put mine in there. Everyone, you have about 10 seconds. I'll read the top two. Patrina, I did the laundry today. I felt the soap bubbles. I never thought they were that soft. Perfect. I want to know where the room is, what color the soap bubbles was, maybe if there's a smell. But you give me laundry, you give me soap bubbles, and you give me texture and some kind of curiosity or interest. Thank you. Lisa, I've done everything possible not to be present today. I feel the need to be numb. I'm not equipped to handle my current pain. Lisa, thank you. That's very brave and raw. At the same time, there's nothing detailed about it. So you can share that through a moment you were present for, even if it was just one moment. And if you're present for your pain, I think that counts. So I X out what I just said, but more detail. Make us feel it, and in so doing, it'll be cathartic for you. Don't make us feel it in a cruel way. Just make us feel it in a genuine, detailed way. Okay. Judy, I stood on the front porch, barefoot, still in my pajamas. I heard a bird song and could not see the bird. It was a cheerful wake-up sort of song. I love that. It's detailed as you can. You even talk about how you can't get all the detail because you don't know. Love that. Jillian, pulling the discarded cold sheets up over us again. Beautiful. Everyone can feel the cold sheets pulling him back up, that feeling. Kissing his warm arm, groaning with the morning window light and smiling. Good. Lost me a little bit at the end. It's all personal and real. Nothing's wrong with it at all, but more detail, like the arm. What does the arm look like? What color are the sheets? Where's the window? What are you seeing outside of it? The more detail. Okay, I'll do one or two more. We are an active duty military couple, and we've been at our new duty station for 3 months. We just found out today that our household goods are finally coming 3 days before my surgery. This is my second surgery since finding out I had breast cancer in March. Well, first of all, everyone give a big heart to Amanda, if so inspired. Everyone, I'm doing it. Amanda. Online well wishes don't mean everything, but we send our love to you. I have to say, what you wrote is incredibly straightforward. It's not incredibly detailed. Like, where are you? Maybe you can't say. What does it look like? Where is your home? But it's powerful. It's incredibly straightforward, and you covered a lot. So just detail. Like Ernest Hemingway was asked, "How do you write the shortest story ever?" And he wrote, "Baby shoes, never worn," something like that. And there was a whole story in just those 6 words. I think it was 6 words total, and I'm forgetting 2 of them. My little friend Squirrel came for, this is by Kathy Collier. My little friend Squirrel came for his breakfast again this morning. He joined me on my deck while I had my coffee. Coffee in a mug. What kind of coffee? What does the deck look like? What's your view? He wasn't afraid of me. I love that. There's a lot in there, Kathy. Great job. Okay, I'm going to come back. Thank you, everyone, for doing this. And even if I didn't get to yours, yeah, it's for sale. Baby shoes, never worn. That was Hemingway's response to a challenge to write an entire story in 6 words. Big love to Amanda and your family and everyone here who's going through anything. So that's something I did want to talk about today, is that this world is going through climate change. I don't mean that from a partisan point of view. I mean that from a scientific point of view. It's what's already happening and what will happen is devastating. This world is going through a Me Too movement, which is really wonderful and also really awful. This world has wars. You know, the Syrian government is bombing the hospitals and bombing children. There's so much good and bad. There's a lot of good. We can talk about good. Before I talk about good, I'll talk about how the orangutans, the elephants, all of them are, they're almost going extinct, right? Rhinos. Palm oil is devastating a lot of jungles. But there's a lot of beautiful, too. There's a lot of family. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of great art. There's a lot of gardening. There's so much daily goodness, and daily goodness can often be more ordinary or less flashy than some of the horrors in this world. The point of all of this is that there's never been a more important time to be a communicator, to be a writer, because you can share your experience, and in so doing, create empathy for yourself and understanding and empathy for others. You can share your story, be of benefit. That's our mission here at Elephant. And you can have a good time doing so. It can be lightening, it can be cathartic, and you can make a living doing so. So this is what we teach in Elephant Academy. And if you're interested, elephantjournal.com/apply. This is not a plug or a commercial. This is what we offer, and we keep it affordable for a reason, because we want people to be able to find their right livelihood, find their path, to be of benefit, to make a living doing so, and to do so in a way that is genuine and helps you and helps others. This world has a ton of challenges, and if every artist, every human, every person here, and everyone like you, everyone who you care about, could join in being genuine and finding a way to not exploit our earth or other people through our livelihood, but to make a living doing what you love and what your gift is, that is powerful stuff. I just tweeted about that yesterday, and people really reacted that, you know, a lot of the exploitation in this world of others, of nature, is because we need to find a way to pay the bills and take care of our family. All right, so no need to bow out, anyone. We don't really have space for that. We have too many comments. All right. Big love to Natalia and your children. Yeah, sometimes you just can't be sick, but you are sick, and you just have to deal with that. And you know that better than me. My mom went through that all the time. So big love to you from all of us, and hopefully that'll help. Little things like being kind to yourself or tea can help. From Andrea in questions and answers. In the online content writing space, how do we keep our articles original and authentic when there's so much content out there already, and it feels like almost everything has been written about? Andrea, I love that question. That is so good. So everything in the world has been written about. There's so much noise. This is a wonderful question. Let's focus on Andrea's question. So please no comments unless it's about Andrea's question. So in the online content writing space, how do we keep our articles original, or our writing original in any space, a book, whatever, and authentic when there is so much content out there already and it feels like almost everything has been written about? So Elephant Journal has 5 million Facebook fans. That's almost 2.5 times, 3 times more than MSNBC. We have hundreds of thousands of Instagram fans on 4 or 5 accounts. We have, 5 million readers a month. We have all this, #1 on Twitter. The way we did that as an independent organization without investor funding is exactly your question. Is we didn't try to compete with the noise, with the hype, with the shock and awe, the sound and fury. You can't compete. And why would you want to? Do we need to add more noise to this world? Anyone? Do we need to add more hype, more noise, more PR to this world? Do we? Anyone? Thank you for saying that. So stick with that. Remember that. Don't add more hype, more noise, more promotion. You may want something, which is to publish or make a living or whatever it is to empower your current career or find a future one. And that's what we teach in Elephant Academy, elephantjournal.com/apply. But that is not going to get you there. The urge to promote yourself is not what the world needs. Remember what the world needs. The world is dying to hear what you least want to share. So, Amanda, the most powerful thing is to find your voice. And your voice may write about the plastic pollution in the oceans, or your experience being overwhelmed and being sick as a mother, or your experience with breast cancer, your whatever, your depression, your joy in gardening, your love for adventure, your climbing as a woman and breaking through barriers. Whatever story it is, even if it's been covered 8,000 times, once you find your voice, it will be that unique snowflake. I don't want to get partisan again, but everyone can be actually a unique snowflake once you find your voice. Not in a cutesy, I'm special kind of way, but you actually will find, you'll find your genuine story, and it'll be cathartic. Right? Okay. So, yeah, finding your humanity, like Shay says, is so fun. It's such a relief. You no longer have to hype at people. You can actually just connect genuinely. Think of the next time, as Ginger said, when you're talking with someone and you just genuinely connect. I reconnected with a friend who I was very briefly in love with in Vermont. Hope she's not on this call. back in the day, like after high school. And we wound up talking last night until like 1:30 a.m. And it wasn't lovey. It was just genuine connection. And that is so rare and so precious. Who here wants more genuine connection in your life? Anyone? Dartinia, your story when shared makes the world a more open space. You never know. So yes, we all want that genuine connection, right? And you can actually do that for yourself through your writing, and you can do it with other people. And then you can make a book or an article or a blog or an Instagram account that's super powerful and popular. And that's what the stuff we teach in the Academy. But, and is a genuine connection more rare and more powerful than hype and noise, no matter how much money is behind it, how much of a big advertising campaign is behind it? Yes, it is more powerful because it's not competing with that noise. It's not competing. So don't compete with the shock and awe and the noise folks. You don't have that kind of budget. The minimum ad budget to get the lowest 21-year-old newbie ad rep on Facebook is $25,000 a month. $250,000 a month might get you an ad rep who will actually ever respond to you. None of you have that budget, I'm going to guess. If you do, congratulations, but don't spend it on Facebook. Spend it on, you know, like LeBron James, helping out others, and you'll find more joy and fulfillment through that. So, and you also don't need that kind of budget. You can just connect genuinely. We've gathered 5 million Facebook fans, which is an epic number on 60 different pages. Elephant Green, Elephant Family, Elephant Adventure, you know, Mindful Travel, Elephant Politics, Elephant Yoga, you know, 60 different pages, not because of ad campaigns, but because we just try to connect genuinely. Yeah, no, that's so valuable when you can just connect with people without an agenda. So, an agenda other than just connecting. So let's get to it. Nicole, in the comments and questions and answers. I think and feel quite political and want to express my opinion through my articles. Yet I neither have a degree in politics nor in writing literature. What do I have to consider for people to take me seriously? You know, I mean, on some level that is an obstacle. Like you have a couple typos in what you wrote, which is fine. There's no shame in typos, right? There's no shame. So some of the greatest books ever have been written in colloquial language, in just the raw voice. So embrace your voice, find your voice. And if it has typos or if it's not perfect, that's part of your voice, right? It's important to remember that democracy is a participant sport, right? It's not just for the people who are, you know, study politics in college or who rant and rave at each other on Twitter. It's for everybody. So get in there and just share your voice. That said, I would dial back your opinion. Opinion shouldn't be the driving force behind sharing stuff around politics. Do we have enough opinions around politics right now in this sort of Twitter frenzied generation? Yes. Get a little bit deeper. Actually read about the opinions that you have. Read people who you disagree with. Talk with people outside of your choir. Then share something that is sourced and linked. And that's kind of journalism ethics 101 that we go over in the Academy, not from the point of view that you want to be a journalist or anyone wants to be a journalist, but that you can find your voice as I think you've done. So just to embrace that, but then look for facts, look for information, look for good journalism, look for, so I have opinions. I'm a moderate liberal. I talk with my father who's a moderate conservative, and he out-argues me every time. And I have to go back and study facts and study journalism, and study this and that, and then come back to him, not like with a new round of ammo to combat him, but I learned so much from him, and he hopefully learns a little bit from me. So, yeah, and I'm sure you just casually said that word opinion, but it's an important point to remember. We don't want to add more aggression or more opinion to the world. Prejudgment, prejudice. We want to judge. Judgment gets a really bad rap, but judging is just seeing something. I see this water. I know where it came from. It came from a spring. It's in a glass that's probably mostly clean, and I am thirsty. That is judgment. It's not prejudgment. It's judgment based on information. So judging doesn't have to be a big, heavy, evil thing. Judging is just seeing what is, which is the Buddhist or Zen notion, and acting on that. Yeah, and listening, Amanda, thank you. I learn the most when listening to someone who disagrees with me. Waylon, who did you have to proofread edit your writing in the beginning stages of your career? Well, that's a good point. My mom was a very poor school mom, as she called herself, and she would correct all my typos. So I had a big help there. We didn't have money, but we had a good education, a good environment. We went to the library, went to movies, or got books from the library. There's so much free stuff you can do when you look for it. And now actually I catch my mom's typos more, but she's in the academy. She's a wonderful, experienced writing teacher. elephantjournal.com/apply. We do really love it when people join us. It's super fun. It's super hard, and it's super fulfilling. And the community is probably the best part. You will be overwhelmed. And as I like to say, being overwhelmed can be a good thing. You learn a lot. You will change like a snake growing out of its skin. And, you know, it's investing in yourself. It's for you. Okay, let's touch in with that academy. So, or with the agenda. So the fall session is from September 26th through December 19th. If you apply now, you will save $350. So go to elephantjournal.com/apply. Anyone who applies now will get a free editing session. You'll get me to edit your stuff for an hour. I can do that live with you, or I can just edit stuff for an hour and send it back to you. So we've talked a bit about the fear of writing, that we aren't good enough, finding your voice, the importance of voice. I love D'Andrea's questions. Once you find your voice, you don't need to compete with all the noise up there, and everything will be original. It will be, I wish that snowflake term hadn't become all politicized. How can your voice and writing be a benefit to our world? Publish a book, write an article, use it to grow your business. So that's the good news, is if you're writing from the point of view of connecting with people genuinely, you know, there's 622 people here right now. If you can find your writing, your voice, and write, whether it's an article, a book, whatever, obviously you can make friends with yourself, and so doing can be cathartic, as we've discussed. You can connect with others and be a benefit. So let's talk about that piece of how does it pay the bills. So with a book, very quickly, and we talk a lot more about this in the academy and other videos that I've done. But you know, I wrote this book. I paid a colleague of mine to edit it, and it's been the best-selling book in Boulder the last 2 years. I didn't get professional distribution because I didn't want to work with a publisher. I wanted to make all the money myself. Well, I gave it to Elephant, but and I wanted it to be eco. So this book, if you can see, is a little bit rougher. It doesn't have that plastic gloss. So every new book, when you go to the bookstore, pretty much has this sort of glossy plasticky feeling. It almost smells like a new car. Old books, like this one, smell like vanilla. It's actually vanilla and it's in the paper. So I wanted to do an eco book. I wanted to print it locally. I wanted to control the cover and what it looked like, the illustrations. I wanted to edit it myself with an editor. I wanted this book. This book was very personal and important to me. So this isn't about the book, but about you have a decision. If you want to write a book, very briefly, and then I'll get to other questions, you can publish with a publisher. They probably won't give you much in the way of marketing unless you have a huge platform. I have a huge platform, Elephant, Waylon, all that. And I still didn't get a huge marketing budget from the publishers I talked to, and I had pretty good connections. Or you can do it yourself, which is harder, crowdfund. That's what I did. So I went on Kickstarter, I crowdfunded. You may think you don't have community. If you don't have community, that's okay. That is going to be harder, but that's okay. Make sure you have an issue. Like my friend last night was talking about Lyme disease. She is an expert in that. She's gone through that. She wants to write a book about, you know, what can help, what can actually help those who are suffering from Lyme disease or whatever it's called. So that is a book that will resonate with huge, passionate communities. So that she doesn't need a big social media following. She probably only has a couple hundred Instagram fans. She doesn't have Facebook pages, 5 million fans, all that. So find a community, find an issue, and then I would say self-publish. I don't like the word self-publish. I think it's sort of derogatory, but you know, publish on your own, publish independently. You can write articles on Elephant or any independent site. that's mission driven, and you can get tons of readers clicking back if you excerpt your book or you. I like excerpts because readers love to read actual stuff, not promotion stuff. So they'll read your excerpt and then they'll want more and they'll click on the book. So we've sold now like 20-something thousand, and we make 90% of the money from the book instead of giving away 90% to the publisher and the bookstore. Is that a helpful little sort of sketch of the options? It is harder to do it on your own in a way than to get an agent and a publisher, but I think it's more fulfilling. So you'll need to crowdfund to make the money to print the book. Find a local printer. There's printers everywhere. Find one who wants to do books. Don't overpay in terms of the advance. Pay as you go. Yeah, Mo, we have, you can email, we have some articles on Lyme disease on elephant. You can email me at waylon@elephantjournal.com, and I'll try to connect you. All right. Irina, how do I come to share of myself through my writing when I have a fear of being seen? So Irina, I love that question. That's a beautiful question. So a lot of us have that. A lot of us don't have that. Those of us who don't have a fear of being seen can be obnoxious and self-promotional, and that's just as much of an obstacle to people connecting with us, right? So you're not alone. Many, many people have a fear of being seen. So my number one advice is whatever your obstacle is, maybe everyone in the sidebar, write in a couple words, what is your obstacle to writing? What is your fear? Whatever that obstacle is, write about it. Write about how you don't have time, Natalia. Write about how you have a fear of being seen, Irina. Write about not knowing where to start, Judy. Write about rejection. Write about how you're not educated, grammar, editing-wise. Write about how no one will read it, what you're writing about. And write about your fear of wasting time. Writing about your fear of not having talent or rejection, your concerns about distraction and focus. Andrea, that one particularly, put up better boundaries with your phone and Netflix and friends and whatever. If you have obstacles in terms of time, a lot of times, and I don't mean to be tough love here, but that means you haven't yet found your voice. You haven't yet. Once you find your voice, there will be nothing that will stop you from sharing it. Nothing. Write about your lack of confidence. Write about how you're super proud of your story, but no one will buy it or find it. Just start by writing about procrastination or lack of focus or this is beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Fear of being ridiculed. Write about that because that will be genuine. And maybe your writing about that won't be something you publish. Who cares? Just write about it. Address the elephant in the room, right? You have to start by addressing the elephant in the room. You can't write about the room. Write about the elephant. And then once that's up and out and acknowledged, it's like I recently worked with horses in a leadership training. Does anyone here ride or work with horses? If you go up to horses with unacknowledged stuff going on, fear or whatever, they're going to feel that. You have to acknowledge whatever you're going through and then go up to the horse with a kind of clear body and mind and just be present with them. And then they'll feel that too. It's probably the same with dogs. It's the same with a lot of humans, frankly. We just don't acknowledge it that way. Okay, one or two more questions. Emily, you can jump in, or Molly, if I'm not. There's still a question up there from Nicole. We addressed that. Similar question most. How can I evolve my writing from a journaling practice? I've been journaling almost daily for years now. First of all, applaud Natalia. That's wonderful. The next step is simply finding issues that you care about that you'd like to share. Send an article into elephantjournal.com/share now, elephantjournal.com/submit, or any other website, or your own website. It is powerful to send stuff to a site like Elephant or whatever, Medium, a site that has millions of readers so that you can connect. And Michelle, yeah, any of you can replay this video once it stops recording. I wouldn't worry too much about memoir or fiction or whatever, just write. Whatever, so, in my life, Natalia, like right now, I'm probably thinking about this lady who I was briefly in love with back in the day. We talked until 1:30 last night, not in a lovey way, just in a genuinely connected, it was so fun. So that's sort of on my mind, right? What else is on my mind? Yeah, I saw this weirdo who's a little bit of a stalker in my life this morning. That's sort of on my mind. So I sit down, I write about these things, good or bad, happy or sad. They're there. And I write about them from the point of view that I'm looking at an audience, that I'm looking at a best friend who cares, but who maybe doesn't know anything about this. So I can't use in-joke language. I can't use tree fort password language. I have to explain what I mean. Be accessible. Don't be too precious or too fancy or too nervous or whatever, not to be accessible. In terms of talking about a business you're building without self-promoting, whenever you feel like you're self-promoting, so like when I talk about the Academy, that is promotion, right? But I believe in the Academy. I believe in its mission. I believe that it's helpful. Do you believe in your products? Do you think they're helpful? So just talk about that. And if you feel nervous, Cindy, about, or Jenny, sorry, Shuffle, about being self-promotional, talk about that. I don't want to be self-promotional about the Academy. I don't want to be a commercial. I want to say genuinely we offer something that is writing, editing, journalism ethics, social media, writing a book, finding your right livelihood path, whatever your career is. You don't have to be a writer, because almost any of us, yoga teacher, massage therapist, plumber, we need clients, any of us. So social media, genuine communication, facts, not just opinions, can help with that. So I just talk about what's valuable about it, and Jenny, you can do the same thing. Rachel, yeah, I have videos about the narcissism danger. That's a completely fair critique. There's nothing inherently narcissistic about journaling. Whoever, if anyone said that, they're just insecure and arrogant themselves. But you can get too narcissistic. Instagram is a great example of that. I call it emotionalism. So I already talked about this, Rachel, but try to just be raw and genuine and straightforward. Don't fall into emotionalism, which means you're kind of getting off on yourself. As they say in Scarface, don't get high on your own supply. And the other extreme is suppressing everything and saying, you're bad, I don't want to talk about me, that kind of thing. The two extremes aren't helpful. All right, I think we're at a conclusion. If you want more, we're doing, maybe put the links in the comments, we're doing 3 more. There's some information. Where do they register for that? They're all free. And then Elephant Academy, if you apply now, you'll save $350. It's elephantjournal.com/apply. And the best part of it is all the teachers and the mindful social media heroes and the community. The community is so fun, and a bunch of Academy graduates just visited us here in Boulder. It's super fun stuff. All right, so I think I got to a little bit of most of this. Maybe with one word, say what you thought of today. You can be critical as you like. I'll learn from it. Say if you appreciated it, say if you hated it, say if you got something out of it, maybe what specifically was most helpful or least helpful. Say one thing, and then let's take a good posture, relax, and with respect and friendliness to yourself and to everyone here, 623 folks all over the world, give it away. All right, my sincere love to you. I hope you find your path and are benefit. Big love to all of you.